Hey guys, welcome back for my fourth Kenobi review. Finally, we're up to date on these reviews, and of course, we'll be discussing episode 4 of the series. So this episode starts out with Obi-Wan in a bacta tank, briefly recalling his fight with Vader. I think this scene is edited very well. I like the quick flashbacks that we see, and how they cut to Vader in his own tank a few times. Then we're introduced to this new character named Roken. This dude initially says that he's not going to help Obi-Wan, and then about a minute later he says he will. It feels really weird how quickly he changes his mind, although his story about his dead wife is definitely compelling, but it feels like this is just a conflict for the sake of it, and one that is instantly resolved, making me wonder what even was the point here. We see an interrogation scene between Riva and Leia, and I like how the series continues to hint at Riva'S backstory. She was almost certainly a Jedi youngling who escaped the massacre at the temple, and the series has never really completely confirmed that yet, but it seems heavily implied that this is the case. After that, we see Obi-Wan swim into the temple, and we see Tala infiltrate the security. There's this really ridiculous scene where she convinces some officer that she's his superior, and honestly, there's a lot of scenes in this episode where you do have to suspend your disbelief, which I'm fine with to some extent, but still, these are ridiculous scenes anyways. Probably the strongest scene in this episode is when Obi-Wan goes to the bottom of the fortress and sees this tomb of preserved Jedi corpses. Very haunting scene. I think the music and the visuals pulled that off really well. And it was especially brutal to see that it wasn't just these old Jedi, but also the younglings too. So yeah, overall a very well done scene, I think. After that, we see a lot of action in this episode. Ben breaks out Leia, and it is really cool to see him kind of getting his skills and confidence back, at least to some degree. We see him use his lightsaber to fight probe droids and stormtroopers, and I think for the most part it's pretty well done. I also like the part in the fight where the water is about to break the glass, and then we see it drown a bunch of stormtroopers. Then we go more towards the surface of the fortress. Riva exposes Tala, who says that she was never really part of the Empire. Pretty good line there. And then these rebel ships show up. I gotta say, the direction is not the best here. I feel like it doesn't really capture the sense of chaos and urgency that it should, especially in that part where Riva is running and then deflects the blast from the ships. It doesn't feel as fast and urgent as it should be. As they're trying to escape, one of the rebel pilots named Wade is killed. The episode gets really emotional and, well, I guess it's sad. This guy was barely in the episode and had probably like less than 2 minutes of screen time, and the episode feels needlessly emotional about it. It's just not really connecting with me as a viewer because we barely saw this guy. Vader's presence to this episode is great. He definitely takes a backseat compared to his role in episode 3, and I think it's good that he appears less in episodes 4 and 5 before his next duel with Kenobi. I think Hayden Christensen's body language as Vader in this scene with the Force choke is really good, and overall it's a very nice scene. Although Riva revealing that she bugged Leia's robot comes out of nowhere. And I do feel like a problem with this episode is stuff just feels very random and unnatural sometimes. My biggest issue with this episode isn't with anything specifically, but just the episode in general. Its plot feels way too similar to episode 2. Leia's been captured, Ben's gotta save her and break him out. Yeah, of course the key difference is where the characters are at. The characters have definitely developed and evolved to some extent since episode 2, and Ben feels more confident and powerful in terms of his abilities. But the episode's plot, just on paper, too similar. The ending of this episode was pretty good. I thought Obi-Wan and Leia holding hands was a pretty sweet and pretty powerful visual. And then we panned down to the bugged droid, which is pretty good foreshadowing. My final rating is a 7 out of 10. I feel like this episode is definitely the weakest of the series so far. It just wasn't nearly as interesting as the other episodes and didn't have the same character development that the other episodes had. That being said though, this episode was still decent and enjoyable. Thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone, you know. Share your thoughts on part 4 below, and I'll see you guys next time.